Hello, you absolute legends. Welcome back to the channel. You join me in Dad's workshop because we have put the majority of the pipes and the new pipe work and bits and pieces that have arrived back on the car. I wasn't able to film that process because I've been away working this week and Dad's been tinkering on the car as we go. So what I want to do is just show you what Dad's done and show you the progress on the TT. New turbo intake pipe has been fitted and you can see Dad has started putting all the clips and pieces back on. That's not tight yet, so I'll need to tell Dad about that. This is the N75 valve. We've tested that. But apart from that, it starts to look good. I'm actually just checking this PCV system. So this is the crankcase breather valve in here. Let's attach that somewhere, that light here. And I'm testing all the clips all the way down here in the engine bay. You can see where it goes to right down the bottom here. There's that new T-piece. And the PCV valve has been fitted and it's all under there with the new silicon hoses. I have fitted, or Dad has fitted, I have bought a new diverter valve, which is here. You can remember that whoosh valve, that silly old stupid make a noise valve. We've now taken that off. Here it is. It's gone. Well, it hasn't gone. It's currently on the old turbo intake pipe. Was that hole there as well, or is that new?
No, I cut the holes because I didn't want to break the little valve that was stuck in there, taking it off.
Fair enough. So there was. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a hole we'd missed. So this is the crap that we're getting rid of. And look at all this. This is all the old valves and T-pieces and nonsense that's no good. And these old single-use clips that Dad's cut off and has replaced with circlips. Not circlips. With what are they called? My mind's gone blank.
Jubilee clips.
Jubilee clips.
You've
that's
depleted
it.
My entire stock of Jubilee clips.
I owe you some Jubilee clips. There's only a few things left to go back on the car, which I'm hoping we can achieve soon. We've got this, the hockey puck, which we originally thought was the PCV valve. It's not. It's the some sort of pressure valve. We've got this sort of silicon crankcase breather to go back on, and I don't think we're using these pieces. These are pieces that came as part of a kit, and that goes onto the turbo intake valve. Also we've got the coolant to sort out. That needs washing out, as in the system needs flushing. Dad's had the oil system drained. Have you put the oil back in now?
I put some in, yeah. I took the sump off and I cleaned the strainer.
Yes, yeah, which is covered in the previous video. The only clip I can see, mate, that's loose is this one here.
Well, all this looks loose.
All that's loose, right, fair enough. But the PCV system, though, I've double-checked. All the clips appear to be... Yep, appear to be nice.
How all that
nice and tight.
dog's fits.
So we're going to be working on the TT in this video, doing a few bits and pieces. Stay tuned. So we're still putting pipes and bits and pieces back on. This crankcase breather's going back on now with the hockey puck. I'll hold the light so Dad can see. It's very tight though, so we might have to give it a bit of a wiggle. Well, we've got some more bits and pieces arrived. Coolant, bits and pieces. Dad's under here. We're currently modifying a air pipe. This one, which you can't see. Well, I'll let you see in a second when Dad's finished with the torch. The new. So this is the hockey puck under here. As you can see, we're putting it on. The crankcase breather pipe that came with the kit has needed some modification. We've chopped a bit off, and we're just fitting that now. And the reason it needed some modification is previously it had this Forge silicon crankcase breather on. These are like 50 quid as well, but it means that your hockey puck is further up on the block. Well, it hasn't worked very well. It's not how it should be, so we're putting it back to how it was. It's struggling a little bit because the pipe to that breather is a bit further down on here, on the old one, and on the new intake pipe it's a bit further up. So it's given us a little bit of grief, but nothing that a tub of petroleum jelly. Can't solve. So I've modified this crankcase breather pipe. It's sitting nicely in the hockey puck, and we're just doing some Jubilee clips up now to make sure that the whole system is nice and tight, and obviously there's not going to be any pipes popping off. And in between spannering on the car, I've taken 5 minutes with a cup of coffee to appreciate the sunset over Lincolnshire. This is the back garden view. What a beautiful view this evening. And when people ask me, John, why do you commute so far to work and why do you live where you live? Well, this is why. This is the answer. This is right on my back garden doorstep. Beautiful. Come out here, enjoy the sunset. We've got a castle over there in the distance. There it is. There's the castle. Fantastic. So we've got to a point where it's time to put the airbox back on. We're going to put the new air filter in and fill it all down. New airbox, well, not the new airbox, old airbox, but I've cleaned it all out. Dad's looking for some bolts or nuts or screws because there was a bolt missing to hold this box down, so we're going to replace that at the same time. Genuine Bosch air filter, £6. This is what would have been in the car originally, supplied by Audi S714. This is the old one. Down here, looking a bit grubby, this is the new one. One of the worst jobs in the world. Dad tips his nut tray everywhere to find something, and then I have to pick them all up. I've been doing that since I was about 5 years old. Air filter is in. Right, it's time to refit the strut brace, which goes obviously across the struts. I've bought some stainless steel nuts and fasteners just to make it look a little bit nicer. So this is the nut that previously held the strut top strut top mount in place. Let me get that positioned. But I'm replacing it with some bling because shiny things and magpies. Let me just show you. So this is what I'm replacing it with. The stainless steel, sort of chrome finishes. Well, not chrome, you know what I mean, chrome effect. And they are going to make that look beautiful. Dad's under the car, he's taken the old oil filter off. We're going to put the new oil filter on. It's dark, it's nearly 9 o'clock. It's not nearly 9 o'clock, but it's getting dark. I'm going to prime the new oil filter. Oil filter, £6. This is my oil. I'm going to just put a little bit in a jug and prime this. There's the old one out. Car's on the deck. Oil filter's changed. 4.5 litres of oil in. We've put the dipstick and the dipstick holder all back in. Battery we've just hooked up quick, just to make sure electrically there's no issues. And in a minute, we'll fire up for the first time. Well, we've topped the oil up. We've fixed an issue with the dipstick. It was missing an O-ring. As you can see, it's pitch black outside and it's sort of 9:30. We was going to start the car up tonight, get it going, but there's still a few things that we need to do, including putting the trim back on, testing everything, making sure everything's fixed, and the big one is the coolant system still needs flushing. The plan is tomorrow we're going to wheel the car out into Dad's driveway and then using a hose pipe system, fill the coolant bottle, wash it all out, all through the system, and it's got a drain tap at the bottom. Then we're going to fill it up, and then we're going to start it up. That's it for the night. Brief intermission. Next thing will be Saturday morning. Well, it's another morning, beautiful morning in Lincolnshire. So I'm going to go back to Dad's today to hopefully fix the rest of this car. We've got coolant to do, got loads of other bits and pieces to do. I'm going to the Boston Classic Car Show tomorrow. That is a show that I love. I'm taking the Proton, the white one. But first, a cup of coffee and a cup of tea for Mrs. John Coupland. And big shout out to her this morning because, well, I've had all this oil and antifreeze and stuff in the kitchen for about a week now. And it's still here, so that's something I've got to sort out this morning as well. That's it then, quick change, we're back. It's murky and horrible, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday here in Lincolnshire. We've got the battery back on. We are now going to flush the coolant system. We're not going to do that in Dad's garage because obviously that's going to cause a big old mess. We're going to do it out here and cause a big old mess instead. Everything else is back on. Yeah, so the way to do it, we're going to fill the coolant system full of water, open the tap, drain it, fill it full of coolant, job's done. So there's a drainage tap under there. We've got the car on the deck. We're just going to fill it up and drain it. You can see the water that's coming out. And as you can see, it's kicking out some sludge, some horrible yellow stuff. That was the yellow stuff that was in the coolant system before in the bottle. We've put clear water in, let it fill, and then drain it, and we're going to do that a couple of times, and then we're going to top the coolant up. So we've emptied it, filled it, emptied it, filled it a few times now, cleaned the radiator out, cleaned the hoses out, and now we are confident that it's nice and clean, better than it was. Coolant time. So it's time to fill the coolant system back up. We're using this, which is G12 coolant. It's ready to use. It was £15 for 10 litres, which in my opinion is a bargain. It takes this special G12 plus stuff. Dad's white spiriting the engine. We're going to clean the engine block from all the oil as well. There's no exact science to this. It's fill it up slowly. You don't want to get any airlocks in your coolant system. That would be bad news. And sort of work out how much you put in. I've put a litre in. I think I'll probably stop at about 3 or 4 litres and let it settle, put some more in. But obviously you get your min-max marks for a reason. And there it is, there it goes in. Dad's cleaning the engine, he's got white spirit. You can see that he's cleaning all the oil and gunk and gump off there. This is still going in slowly.
It's windy here in Lincolnshire.
It is windy in Lincolnshire, and if you watched our previous video, it was very windy in Lincolnshire. Coolant is in. We've put 4 and a bit litres in. Capacity is 5. We're not going to have got the whole lot drained. We're now going to clean this engine block off, clean underneath, clean all the oil off. Going to put the coolant tap back on, not tap, tank cover back on. It's still a little bit grey and murky and horrible in there, but again, we've not taken everything out the car to drain it. Put the tank, expansion tank back on. What's up?
Something nearly happened then. I thought I'd better not let it happen.
Ah, right, I see, I understand. Natural bodily functions. Yes. They don't stop in the workshop, you know. Right, it's just about to rain, so we're going to cover this over. This is the engine electrics. There's a bit of oil running off here. This is because we've been washing the underside of the car. But we are nearly on the home stretch. So we're just jet washing all the crap off from underneath. Jet washing all the oil and debris and dirt. That will give us an indication also where the oil leaks are coming from, because if you can remember, underneath the engine bay was so oily. So oily. Coolant system is bled and complete. Coolant level is right. Engine oil is topped up and red complete. We've cleaned all the manifold, cleaned all under here, cleaned the top here, around here. I obviously haven't cleaned the top of here because, well, I'm not going to get all in here with my jet wash. Cleaned all the top of the gearbox, as you can see down there. Just jet washed off all that horrible, nasty everything all down here. So everything has just had a good old clean. I'm going to start now putting trim back on. I've cleaned that piece of trim. Batteries on charge. No fault codes found yet, but we're going to start her up in a minute and clear the fault codes. But first, I think it's going to be cup of tea time. Let's just see how we're getting on, if it's going to be cup of tea time. Hopefully, I'll walk in here and there will be a cup of tea waiting. Aha! It is on the way. I was just about to test drive the car and then it chucked it down. So I'm soaking wet. Dan's currently listening to see if he can hear the pump that he fixed. If you remember in a previous video, there was some electrical wires cut. He's using his little pokey stethoscope to hear things cutting in. Right, we're getting ready to start the car. Battery's on. Engine has been checked, as I say. Coolant has been checked. Dad's doing a final walk around and then he's going to turn the key. Fingers crossed. Obviously all the panels and bits and pieces aren't back on, but mechanically it is all back together. Here we go. Ignition's on. Started. First turn of the key. Winner. I suppose the next thing to do is make sure it gets up to temperature, check everything and take it for a test drive. Well, we're back from our test drive. Ooh. Dad is underneath the car checking everything out. You can see that the back roads of Lincolnshire are filthy, but I'll talk about the test drive in just a moment. What have you found?
Well, have a look under there, mate.
Is it filthy? Oh dear. What are we looking at? I can't see what I'm looking at.
You can't see anything, do you?
I can't see a thing.
You can't see any oil, can you?
I can't see any oil. So we haven't found any oil leaks, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
excellent news.
I bet it was pressurising the crankcase. It's not pouring oil out, is it?
Nope.
It was doing before.
And that is what, obviously, the PCV system is. Pressure control system. Right, I've got to be honest then. We've taken it for a spin. We've driven around the Lincolnshire back roads. Haven't driven it very far or very fast. It drives like a totally different car. It drives like a totally different machine. It sounds different. The engine note is different. The turbo bearing noise that I thought it was, the little as I can describe it, has gone. It's still a car that's driven 140,000 miles. There's still a whine and a whiz from the turbo, but goodness me, it is a totally different animal. You put your foot slightly on the accelerator and you are gone. It wants to go. It is how the Audi TT Mark 1 should be. I'm quietly confident, famous last words I know, that we fixed the problem with the engine, as in the power, the performance, things that certainly will be helping. Well, there's no massive blooming air leaks in it. The turbo intake pipe, the air pipe from the air filter, clearly was all knackered and was leaking air. That is probably the whoosh and the whir that I was hearing when putting my foot on the accelerator when driving the turbo. We've removed that dump valve, we've removed the whoosh valve, and we fitted a genuine diverter valve. It has made a world of difference. The car sounds so much quieter, and it does not seem to be stalling. There's no acceleration lag. So far, so good. We're going to put all the trim pieces back on. We've got some bling trim to put on, like these stainless steel bits and pieces, and then go from there. Whether or not Dad's going to look at the braking system, which we thought initially was the problem, that might be at a later date. But with regards to the car, the running, the acceleration, and the dramas, it seems to have fixed the problem. That turbo running nicely, no noise, no knocks, no bangs, and it really is running lovely. It's taken Dad mainly a week on and off of tinkering and of parts arriving to get the car to this position. As ever, massively grateful to Dad, because I certainly couldn't have done this myself. And Dad has been the driving force behind getting it put back together, as you know, on the channel. A few bits left to do: trim, and then give it a blooming good clean. But it's a happy ending at this stage for the TT, in that, well, it's fixed. And whilst I'm here, perks of being at Mum and Dad's, homegrown produce. What's she given me? We've got some new potatoes, tomatoes, which I've been munching on all afternoon, beans, and some raspberries. Perks of coming to Mum and Dad's. So we're just fitting the trim pieces back to the car, and because I've got this stainless steel upgrade kit, we're having to put these sort of hex adapters in here. They just sort of self-tap in. There's one stuck over there, and that is when we can put the stainless steel screws and bits and pieces in there. So it's a little modification we have to do, but they just screw in to this plastic panel. And that's what these look like when they're in, just little stainless steel hex bolts with a little stainless steel washer cup. And you can see that the engine bay is slowly coming back together.
I want to hear it going.
It's not going to do that.
That's what they do at the shows.
That's it. Trim's back on. Winner, winner. Under tray is going back on. Nice and clean. Great times. The horrible aftermarket blow-off valve, dump valve thing is where it belongs. If you've enjoyed the series, let me know. Hopefully there won't be another series of the TT is totally knackered. I'm sure there'll be other things that we fix and find along the way. For example, the air conditioning needs a regas. We'll have a look at that. The interior seat belts don't retract properly. Lots of different things. Micro switches on the boot lid, micro switch in the doors, but mechanically it's had a good going over, and Dad is happy. Are you happy with?
I'm happy it's not chucking oil out all over there.
Yeah, because as I say, it was chucking oil everywhere, and that is probably because it was pressurising the system.
Yeah, pressurising the crankcase, I bet.
And chucking oil everywhere. If you've enjoyed the video series, please give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you haven't followed me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, the whole shebang, then please do. Whatever you're getting up to, have a great day, take care, thanks for watching, and I'm going to drive my TT.